Hello, Year 12. I hope you're all well and enjoying your second week back at school. Unfortunately, I won't be able to be in this week, but I will be back next week. So the lessons for this week will be in the same format as they were for me last week, where I'll expect you to watch these clips and go through the tasks, please. So these lessons now that we will be doing for the next couple of weeks, we will be looking at the rail part of Creole. Okay, so these are all the aspects of media that we're going to be focusing on and that you will be assessed on in your exam. So you'll be looking at representation, audience, industry, language, and you will be looking at context as well. But for the next 2 weeks, we're just focusing on these four. So we're going to start by looking at industry. And with me, we'll be looking at a lot and focusing a lot on industry when we are particularly studying the likes of Jungle Book, Radio 1 and Minecraft. That is going to be our key focus, is industry. So we have here, when you look at industry, we need to be thinking about how media industry's process of production, distribution and circulation affects its products. And also, as it says over here, often who owns a product really does affect the way it is consumed as well. For example, we're going to be looking at Jungle Book, which was of course produced by Disney, and Walt Disney of course are very popular. So there's always the idea of, does the ownership name of the company, does that actually help sell the product as well? So there's kind of all sorts to think about there. So when we're analysing a media text, we will always sort of look at these aspects of industry there. So that's something to bear in mind. Now, obviously, when we go through these lessons over the next 2 weeks, part of your driving test task is essentially to have detailed notes for each section of Rails. So you need to be sort of building these notes in your independent study time as well in order to do well in your driving test. So to make a start on industry, I would like you to look at these sort of images here. Obviously, you can't see all of it. That is on purpose. I would like you to try and name the organizations from the logos or part of the logos and just see how many you can get. So if you could just pause this video for a moment or two and try and give that a go and see if you manage to get more. Okay, hopefully you've given that a go. So I'm going to put on the next slide the answers. Obviously, we have Walt Disney, which is going to be a company that we very much study for Jungle Book. We've got HBO, which is probably most famously known for bringing us Game of Thrones, of course. BBC Radio 1, Mojang, which has brought Minecraft to us, which we're going to be studying, and Twitter. On this side here, we've got Apple, Sony, Warner Bros, and of course Netflix, which I am sure we are all extremely familiar with, especially during lockdown. Now, the ones we will be focusing on when we go on to study the different sections of media is, of course, Walt Disney Pictures, BBC Radio 1, Mojang, and of course Netflix as well, because we're going to be looking at Stranger Things. So it's worth noting down and it's worth thinking about, right, maybe researching these companies now and start to accumulate some information and build your little information bank on these, which will really help for the lessons. I just want you to spend a minute or so just writing around, especially those key companies we're looking at, what you kind of know about it already, having not researched into it. So I just want you to pause this video and take a moment to do that, please. Okay, so now we're going to focus a little bit more on news. There is a clip on this slide that I would like you to watch. So if you could just spend a second watching this clip. It's not very long at all. So if you could do that for me first, please. Okay, so hopefully you've managed to give that clip a little watch and possibly quite surprised by what you've seen there. So essentially, this figure here on the left-hand side is called Rupert Murdoch, and you probably will have heard of him before, may have come across him before. But essentially, he runs and owns News Corp, and I want you to think about basically he owns all of these newspapers here. So the Sun, the Times, Fox News, etc. So when we're thinking about the influence and impact of ownership, I want you just to write down, just to jot down your thoughts here. Do you think it matters that one person owns all of these news outlets? This one person. That's quite a chunk of the news outlets, of the news in general, really. So I just would like you to get your thoughts down there. I just want to pause the clip again. Okay, so one big question, who owns the UK newspaper industry? So here are just some questions to consider here. Who owns what? Now, I'm going to show you a couple of statistics in a moment, but I would like you to kind of, in your independent time, research a little bit further into this as well for your industry notes. What does this mean for our free press? Are we, for example, getting all the information we need to? Is it being controlled in any way? Is who owns it actually affecting the values of the kind of content we're actually getting? Are there any restrictions, therefore? I would like you to really have a little think about that and a little bit of research into that as well in your independent study time, and add that to your industry notes, please. So Murdoch here, it says here he owns 36% of UK press. That's insane. That's over a third. Okay, that's a massive, massive amount. And on the next slide here on this slide, it tells us that Rothermere owns 29% of the news industry as well in the UK, the Daily Mail as well. So what I would like you to do, you will see there is a link on this slide. Can you please click on that link for me and give that article a read as well? That would be brilliant, and make some notes on that. Just going to pause this clip for a second and get that done, please. Okay, so in A-level media, you will need to know about a number of industries, as I've mentioned already. So you've got those down the side there. So we're going to be looking at Stranger Things, The Killing. You're going to be looking at, obviously, the news, Guardian News Media, Radio 1 Breakfast Show, Jungle Book, Minecraft, etc. So you need to really familiarize yourself with these different companies, and like I say, it is probably better to get a head start now. So have little subheadings in your blog for each of these kind of industries, and just any key information you can get for those would be really, really helpful for your blog as well. Now what I want us just to have a little think about and focus on now is Disney, and this is what we will be going on to look at when we are studying it. There are a number of films on the screen in front of you there. I want you to think about, what do they all have in common? So just have a little think to yourself. So hopefully you're thinking along the lines of they've all either been rebooted or they're going to be rebooted. We've had a lot of live action remakes that have been kind of brought to us. More recently, we've had Mulan, you know, and we've had Lady and the Tramp, we've had Dumbo, we've had an absolute variation, and obviously you've got the likes of The Little Mermaid as well, supposedly coming. So it's kind of an ongoing thing which suggests that it has been incredibly successful for Disney. Now, what I would like you to do for me now is I would like you to click on the link and I'd like you to watch the video. This is a video about Disney reboots and remakes. And I just want you to have a listen to it and just jot down any information, first of all, about, why do we think that Disney are actually rebooting all of their classics? What is the point in that? Why? Okay. Why not reinvent movies? Why not invent new movies? Why are they sticking with that, do you think? And I just want you to watch the clip and get your initial ideas down on the page, please. So just pause this clip for me. Okay, so hopefully you've all managed to sort of get something down along the lines of, it's kind of trustworthy. They know what they're doing in a sense of they know they can rely on the success of the first film. They know they have the pull on an older generation because it will be nostalgic for them, but they've also got the pull on the younger generation with the more exciting use of CGI and action and things like that, and often a kind of having a darker take on the original script, which is a bit like what we'll be looking at with the Jungle Book when we kind of compare the original to the remake and what they've had to do to kind of evolve with the audience as well. Now, as we will be introducing a lot of theory as we go through, and this is sort of a first bit of theory that we will look at on industry. So I would like you first of all to have a little read of the cultural industries theory here on the left hand side. So this theory is from David Hesmanhall, and he suggests that it's difficult for companies to predict that they're going to have a profit, so they rely on repetition to generate their profit instead, which of course is what Disney have done here. They're repeating the same stories, yes, changing them a little bit, but it's kind of like a safety net. They know that they'll be successful. This can be in the form of well-known stars or simply rebooting old successful films. Well, as rebooting old successful films, you have stars such as Emma Watson and Scarlett Johansson. You have all of these kind of stars that they're bringing in as well to really maximize profit there. This is often seen as uncreative and profit driven. You have people out there who disagree with these reboots. You might feel like that yourself, that it's sort of, where's the creativity gone in film now that we've just got to keep kind of bringing back old stories again and again. So yeah, I mean, I wonder what your take on that is, what your kind of opinions on that is. And of course, we've got the next slide here. He also suggests that instead of uniting people, the internet has individualized media consumption, driving people apart. I wonder what your thoughts are on that then, because, yes, we have mobile devices now that we can play our games on. Yes, we don't need to be communicating with people as such anymore. It's all kind of online, and we're in our own little bubble with technology a little bit, and with perhaps gaming as well. I wonder what your thoughts on that are as well. Okay, so this is over to you now. This is what I'd like you to do for the rest of the lesson. Using your phones or your computers, I want you to answer these questions for me, please. And then next lesson, we're going to go through the answers and we're going to continue on with industry and looking at the kind of things we will need to study when we look at media industries on the course. So thank you very much for listening, guys. I hope that was all pretty clear for you. If you've got any questions or anything like that, just drop me an email. Thank you very much.